Hello guys and welcome back. So after we have set up the basic lighting and the hair length and everything, now I can actually go ahead and start doing some more fine-tuning of the shape now, because they're now exploding like that. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna moving those guys down. I can use the sculpt layer here to gradually move those guys down. But the thing is, by doing so, it's going to take a lot of time, because I have to be really careful and bring them down one by one. So sometimes you can actually rely on guides if that's easier. Guides are something created as the modifier. You can go guide here. That's going to give you a guide, but nothing is created yet. You have to go ahead and click on that create to really create guides. Now you see there are a lot of guides here, right? And if you don't like that much guides, because they're still kind of like too much to control, you can of course go ahead and change the guide's density by opening the guide modifier. You can find that in guide base and change the density to something kind of lower, like 0.1 or so. So it's like very little. And that way you can quickly use those guides to define where hair goes. But I do have another problem. After I apply that, you can see now the guide are actually dominating the shape of the hair. My noise, cut, and clump doesn't do anything anymore. Now the reason for that is guides is happening after those guys, so the guide is not dominating what's happening to the hair. To fix that, it's actually not that hard to do. Middle mouse drag it to change the order of the the layers. You can drag that beneath nose, cut, and clump. Now you can see my guide is actually not it's actually what's happening is actually the guide first create that, and then my clump them together, my cut do some cutting, and the noise is then being applied. Okay, so that is that. Alright, now the next thing I want to go ahead and do is I want to determine how I'm gonna separate the hair to left and right side. I can do that by going to the guide here, and I can open the sculpt and turn the edit mode on. So this basically means I'm now grooming the guides and not the hair, but because the guides are controlling the hair, so the hair will follow. Okay, now there are a lot of brushes you can use to groom or sculpt the hair, and they're all listed here. If you want to see their name, you can also go to generate interactive grooming tools, and those are the equivalent of those shelf buttons. Now you can see there are a lot of brushes, and one of the brushes I want to use is the part brush, which will be used to part the hair apart. I'm going to go to the top view here and go to the tool settings, make sure that everything is the default setting, that I can maybe just make the brush bigger. I'm gonna draw a line to separate the hair, maybe from this part. Right, I'm gonna draw out a separation here. You can see quickly action is separating the hair into two parts, right, like that. Oops, I'm doing too much, just a little bit so I can see what's going on here. Alright, now afterwards you can then start to bring those guys down. Let me go ahead and use the comb brush. The comb brush will be used to comb things away. Let me also restart this guy and comb it by just click and drag. So it's actually pretty straightforward. Now I do see a problem here though. No matter how far away I'm combing those two regions of hair, there will be always this part that is interpolating between those two regions. So I will not be able to actually separate the hair easily if I only use my comb brush, because as far as action considered, there's no parting, right? All the hair are now being positioned based on the shape of the guidelines, and if those two guidelines are going separate ways, the hair will be just interpolate in the middle, if that makes sense. Alright, So the question is, how do I tell actually that this part and that part, they're separate parts, right? I can actually do that by using a region map. Okay, just be sure that your model is using a Maya material. I'm now using a unknown material, so it doesn't know how to transfer texture onto this material. So I'm gonna holding down right mouse button on my hand and go to the assign existing materials and choose Lambert. So that's gonna tell it, okay, use Lambert, and when I'm using Maya to create region map for me, it will be able to connect the map to show me in the viewport. Anyway, so I'm gonna go for the guide. Okay, this guide, and go to attribute editor and go all the way down, and you'll see that a region control. Check on use region map. Okay, now we don't have any region map, so nothing changes, and then we can actually click on that paint to ask Maya to prepare a map for us to paint the region. Okay, I'm gonna position it here in where my scene is, and then select and call this region map underscore hair separation or something. Just name it so that you understand it. The size 1K is probably good enough. You're not gonna do very detailed variation anyways, and you can start with any color and go create. Right, that's gonna switch to the painting brush for you, and you can now start painting colors. Let me go to the tool settings, and I'm gonna choose this red color, and I'm gonna paint that here on this side. You can see, if when I start painting, it's already doing the job for me. It's now separating the hair into left and right side for me. So I just need to tell it, how I wanted them to be separated. Now they're separating. Okay, like this. Now let me just paint the left side out to the right color so that it knows what I'm trying to do here. Okay. Alright. Now you can still see some hair in the middle that is going across. Now the reason for that is not because my map is not good enough. It's actually because of this guy here on top of guide, the clump. Remember that the clump is on top, right? So that it's actually overriding or dominating what's happening on the bottom. So the clumping is actually doing some clumping that I don't really want now in the middle. If you actually had it, you see now it's not doing that anymore, right? So how can I tell clump that I want the clump to also don't clump things that are not on the same region? Well, I can do that easily by actually let me go ahead and go back to my pen tool here real quick. I need to actually go there, right? I actually need to save my image first by going down here and save textures to save it. Hopefully those arrows are not concerning me. Okay, now what I want to do is actually share the same texture that my guide is using as the region, which is this guy here, to the clump, because underneath the clump there is also a region control which is going to be here, use control map. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is going to go to the node editor and grab the guide and select it here underneath attribute editor and go show input and output connection. You see now the map is actually over here and it's connected to this guide modifier, and you can now see that the XGen layering system is actually not a layering system, it's actually a node structure. Okay, and I just need to go find the next one, which is the clump, right? And go all the way down to the use control map and check that out. Middle mouse back, drag the map I'm using for the guide also to the custom map. Alright, now when that is done, you go back to the viewport. You can already see that it's taking effect. Okay, how cool is that? So now I can tell the clump to only clump the side but not clumping the hairs that is on the region, or just don't clump any hair that are not in the same region. Okay. Alright, now I can close node editor, and I can also go back and fix this problem here, because I don't want the clump to happening. I don't want the separation to be happening on this back area. Right? To achieve that, I can also go ahead and select my guide and actually paint a region mask. A region mask is basically the weighting of the region map. The white color here means a region map takes full control. Black color means no region map. Right? If I drag that down, it's gonna not do that anymore. So I just need to paint a map to define the back area to a black color. So I can do that by, again, just click on the paint, and I'm going to call this region mask hair separation. And the same file path, and just create. Now Maya will bring me back to the paint brush again. Let me just paint here to make those black. You can see it's already taking effect here. Alright, so that's what I want. Okay. And then I can go ahead and again go to settings and make sure that you save the texture, and then you can press Q button to quit that paint brush, and now the separation is defined properly. Okay, alright, after this I can then go ahead and start shaping my hair and bring them down. I'm gonna do that in the next tutorial. Okay, see you next time.